Wine Show. Tonight, Shane takes some tips from the experts.
Melody finds harmony between wine and the environment.
But first, Shane discovers a stunning Riesling in the most unlikely place.
I'm in the heart of the Barossa Valley, where I've been told high above in the hills overlooking the valley is a place called Steingarten, which is German for Garden of Stones. Let's go and see if we can find it. Although not quite four-wheel drive country, the hills surrounding the Barossa Valley seem to be a harsh environment, more suited to grazing goats than growing premium vines. Well, I've arrived, and what have I found? Nothing but rocks. It's windy, it's inhospitable, and let me tell you, it's totally barren. And yet here, they grow some of the best Riesling in Australia. More than 30 years ago, Orlando's Colin Gramp decided to dynamite and then sledgehammer this 5-acre block of almost pure schist rock in a bid to prove Australia could grow world-class Riesling.
In 1962, after we'd proved that we can produce excellent Rieslings in the Barossa with the new method of fermentation under pressure and cold, we ventured further and thought, well, let us emulate those hilly, rocky slopes that you see on the Rhine and the Moselle. So we chose this hilly ground at the back of Orlando, which is 1,600 feet, which I believe is near enough to 500 meters above sea level, and ripped up the schist rock and planted these vines similar to the way they are planted in Germany on stakes, and the result, we were thrilled about that. We've achieved what we set out, and that is to produce a very delicate Riesling that is very steely and flinty.
Colin Gramp's withered vines are only watered when the heavens open up, are continually buffeted by constant wind, and are used to produce superb wine only on the best vintages. Well, Bernard, it was worth the drive up there. It's pretty hilly country, only for goats really, but I did make it up. What's it taste like?
Well, let's have a pour and see what it's like. So what we're actually looking at here is virtually the very best wine that Orlando can produce in terms of Riesling style. Lovely citrus flavours, great acid through the middle palate, a really top wine for ageing.
Now, what's the philosophy behind such a unique wine? I mean, there are not many acres planted up.
No, it's only about 5 acres planted, and produces around about 1,000 cases in the very best year. And we don't always make a Steingarten each vintage. It's only the very best vintages.
But why does Orlando do that?
Well, because we want Steingarten to be the best white wine that Orlando produces. It is the flagship of Orlando.
This is a beautiful Murray River at Banrock Station in South Australia's Riverland. Banrock is a great example of the balance that can be achieved between viticulture and conservation. On the 1,700 hectare property, which once produced potatoes and onions, there are now 250 hectares of new vineyards. Banrock Station is surrounded by the River Murray on 3 sides, some 12.5 kilometres of river frontage. Now the owners are determined to look after the area's native flora and fauna. Jim, why does Banrock Station consider itself to be so environmentally aware?
Well, we've done a number of things. We've actually put in a state-of-the-art irrigation system that prevents any seepage back into the river, and therefore prevents salt build-up in the river, which is one of the big problems that we have in the irrigated regions along the Murray. And I suppose as well as that, we've done a lot of conservation work around the river, around that 12.5 kilometres of river.
Right. So does this irrigation system allow you to use less water for your vines?
Yes, we control exactly the amount of water that the vineyard requires, and we monitor that with a computer system that tells us exactly the amount of water that we have in the vineyard. And as the vines become stressed, we put more water on, and we only put the amount that they require, and then as they dry out, we show that on the computer screen and then up our irrigation.
Conservation groups have managed to eliminate carp from the wetlands, reintroduce native bird species and native flora, and there's been a complete turnaround in the ecosystem of the property. With the assistance of Landcare Australia, Banrock Station proceeds help fund the establishment of a management plan for the endangered green and gold bellfrog in New South Wales. Banrock Station monitors and maintains flooding levels when necessary, while reinstating natural water flow. Modern trellising and drip irrigation, as opposed to spray or flood irrigation normally used in the Riverland, helps make Banrock a state-of-the-art vineyard. So what kind of wines do you produce here, Jim?
Well, we produce a range of wines. We have 2 wines, a Shiraz Cabernet and a Semillon Chardonnay, that sell for around the $6 mark. And we also have two premiums, an unwooded Chardonnay and a Shiraz that sells for about the $10 price. And I should mention with environmental groups that we also donate part proceeds from the sale of these wines to the Landcare group, who use that money in different schemes that they have on around the country.
Well, I don't know about you, but I do know that wine etiquette is very important when I'm dining out at a really nice restaurant. Now, speaking of nice restaurants, here's Tim from the Oxford restaurant here in Adelaide. Tim, how important is wine etiquette to the average diner?
Good question and good timing. What we like to do when we're serving wine on a table is for someone, usually the host, to just ensure that the wine we're serving is in perfect condition, and that is beautiful.
But Tim, why bother? I mean, if you know what wine you want, why are we tasting it for?
A very small percentage of bottled wine that comes through may have a small cork taint, and that's why I like to offer people to taste each and every bottle that's served at a table.
Well, speaking of bottles on the table, shouldn't this be in a bucket?
Typically it would be, but I like to see white wine straight out of the fridge. Just sit for a while and let it pick up a little more flavour as it comes off the real fridge chill. You'll find more fruit character coming through as that wine leaves its rill.
Now, Tim, your signature dish is the...
One of our signature dishes at the Oxford is the Caesar salad. And
it's being prepared right now for us. How do they go about that?
Okay, well, it's a very, very visual dish, as you'll see, and it's about putting very fresh ingredients together in a very attractive way. Big flavours from the homemade mayonnaise, pancetta, beautiful parmesan, a rich, full-flavoured dish, but still nice and salady and not too filling.
Okay. Ooh, lovely. Well, Tim, this is one of the Oxford's signature dishes.
Indeed.
Bon appetit.